I'm living here and I'm saving this much money. I'm living like a king or like a queen here. Like, people only talk about those highlights, but they don't actually talk about the challenges that is involved with moving abroad in your 30s as like a full grown adult. Hola amiguitos, welcome back. For those who are new to me, my name is Adeola and I am a Nigerian living in Merida, Yucatan, Mexico. Alright, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe to the channel so that you can keep up to date with my content. And if something that I said resonated with you, please do comment about it in the comment section. You can also like and share this video so that it can get out there. Alright, so this video is more like of a journal slash diary. Okay, so, and it's gonna be about moving abroad in your 30s. Moving abroad in your 30s. I'll probably do a separate one about moving abroad in your 20s because I have done that 2 times. So I moved to China when I was in my early 20s, so I believe I was 22. And then I moved out of Canada again when I was like 29 going on 30, right? So I would say maybe 30 years old, right? And I left and I just never came back. Well, right now I am in Edmonton, Alberta, but just for a visit. And yeah, so I left and I moved to Latin America in, I would say in my 30s. Yeah, because I turned 30 years old like 3 months afterwards. So moving abroad in your 30s, the realities of it, right, that most people do not talk about. They only show you the highlights on TikTok and Instagram, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna move there like next week, and you move down there and it's like, oh, all right, I'm moving back home. So yeah, so I just wanted to share some realities of moving abroad as an adult, right? Because an 18 years old is an adult, but really you're still a child. And 30 years old, yeah, especially moving abroad as a single female, right? Single black female or single African female in your 30s. All right, so the first thing that I wanted to share is that you're gonna have to be ready to just do it alone, right? If you're moving as a single person, single male, single female, doesn't really matter, right? You have to be somebody who is okay with being alone, right? Spending time with themselves, going out alone, going to restaurants alone, going to the cinema alone, going to the store alone, going shopping alone, socializing alone, sightseeing alone. You have to be okay with being alone, being by yourself. Because if you're the type of person who is always in a group, or like you only go out with your girlfriend, you only do stuff with other people, you feel very awkward, very uncomfortable being by yourself, out in the public, eating at a restaurant alone, going to the movies alone. Don't even bother going anywhere. Don't even bother moving abroad. Like, don't even bother traveling solo. Just stay home. Just stay. Like, just stay. Yeah, like, don't go anywhere. Because once you move abroad alone, even as a couple, sometimes because people do separate afterwards, right? Then it's going to be very difficult, right? When you move abroad by yourself. Because when you move abroad in your 30s, you have to say goodbye to your friends. So these friends might be friends that you've known since kindergarten, right? So you've known these people for almost 3 decades or 3 decades plus, depending on what age you moved abroad. 31, 32, 41, 42, what have you, right? Friends you've known. Yeah, you can always keep in touch with them via iMessage, WhatsApp, social media. You can call them on FaceTime, what have you. But it's different. It's like a virtual friendship is different from in-person, like real life, face-to-face friendship. It's just different, right? So yeah, you're gonna have to say goodbye to all those people, your friends, goodbye to your family. So if you're the kind of a person who is always with their family, you guys hang out all the time, family barbecues, family functions, family everything, family is everything, you're always with your family, you are going to hate it. You're going to feel alone. And when you go online and you see people celebrating milestones and you weren't able to be there, you're going to feel very bad. You're going to feel lonely. Like, you're just going to feel very bad about yourself, and it's just going to disrupt your experience that you're supposed to be experiencing abroad, right? You're gonna have to say bye to your regular routine. So let's say, for example, normally you wake up, you go to work, afterwards you go to the gym, afterwards you come back home, or you have a favorite store that you go to, you have your favorite nail salon, hair salon, like you have places that you like to go to, biking, parks, and things like that you like to go to, and also comfort, right? Yeah, you're gonna have to say bye to all those things as well, right? Because once you move abroad, depending on the country that you move to, like those shops, amenities, all those things that you are used to, all those comforts you're used to, yeah, say bye to them, right? Just say goodbye to them. Say bye to what's normal to you, your whatever language that's spoken in your country. So let's say you're gonna be moving from an English speaking country to a Spanish speaking country. Yeah, start learning Spanish. Start learning Spanish like today, right? Because your English, you're gonna be able to find people who speak English fluently, but then those are few and far in between, and they might not even be people you vibe with that you can be friends with, right? So yeah, say bye to everything that is normal to you, that has been normal to you for the past 3 decades or more, right? Family, friends, routine, culture, language, even food, right? Your favorite foods, things that you love to eat. Yeah, just say goodbye to all of those. Say goodbye to them because you have a new life, a brand new chapter to start. Okay? And now, after you said goodbye to that and you moved abroad, the next thing now will be making friends as an adult, right? Moving abroad in your 20s is much different from your 30s, because if you moved abroad for school, for example, let's say for your master's degree, PhD, or for work, it's easier to make friends because then you have your classmates, you have your colleagues, you have all these people to be friends with. You're much younger, you're more naive, you're more open-minded, you're just, it's easier. But in your 30s, for most people, you already have your habits. You already have your beliefs. You're already set. Well, for most people. Some people are just, they're still growing, still forming. So they can, still make friends at whatever age, right? But what you believe in is what you believe in. Your habits, like pretty much everything that you believe to be true about life, that is it for you at 35, 38, what have you. So it might be a little bit more challenging making friends, and some cultures are more closed off, and it's not as easy to penetrate and to make friends with those people. So that's why many people, when they move abroad, they usually try to find people from their country to be friends with because it's easier for them. Luckily in Mexico, Mexicans are very warm, open, and friendly, so it's not going to be as challenging to make friends. In Merida, the culture is a bit closed. They're very family oriented, so it might be a little bit more challenging making friends with a local Yucatecan. Now, a Mexican who moved to Merida, yeah, those people, because also they left everything, they're also looking to make new friends. They're also looking to make friends. If they speak English, good for you, right? Or if you speak basic Spanish, good for you. Then it's easier for you to make friends, right? But making friends abroad, it's not so difficult if you can also recreate your life, right, abroad, right? So let's say back home, you like to play badminton, or you like to play tennis, or you like to play soccer. You just go and look for a soccer league, a baseball league, join, and then you can make friends that way. If you like to go to church, if you like to go to play chess, just go find groups, go find communities to join, and then you can make friends that way. I created a video about making friends abroad, and I shared several tips on how to make friends abroad in that video. Make sure to check it out, and we will also link it in this video as well. And speaking of friends and saying goodbye to your friends back home, one harsh reality about moving abroad and living abroad is that you're gonna have to go through loneliness. Yes, loneliness. Many people do not admit this, but this is true. Because the thing is, you're gonna go online, you're gonna go on social media, and you're gonna see your friends back home, maybe getting a new job, buying a new house, getting married, getting engaged, having a kid, having a second kid. And here you are in Mexico and you're renting somewhere, you are struggling to make friends, you're still single, you're still all these things, right? So yeah, that like loneliness can set in, right? Because you feel like, oh, I wish I was there, to celebrate with them, or I wish my friend was here to just, take part in all these things with me, right? So even though you might know a lot of people abroad, or your life on social media might be popping, but really behind all those screens, behind social media, you might be dealing with loneliness, right? So I mean, that's just a reality of it. Now, it might come and go, right? Whereby like some days you feel lonely, you feel left out, you feel like other people are doing things back home, and here you are, you're still, you're being unserious, pretty much, right? Sometimes it might last for a while, or sometimes, it could be very brief where you feel, oh, okay, I feel lonely, should I go back home? And then afterwards, like a friend sends you a message like, hey, let's go do this and let's go do that. And just like that, you no longer feel lonely, right? So this is why it is very important for you to try to recreate, right, your life, the life that you had back home, try to recreate it abroad, right? So sometimes it might require being somebody else. So let's say back home you used to be very shy, very awkward, people pleaser, you could barely speak out for yourself. Abroad, you have a new chapter, a new book. You can be anybody that you want, right? Because these people didn't know you from Adam. They didn't even know who you were before. So they have no expectation of you, right? So you could just be somebody different, right? Because if you were struggling to make friends back home, you're going to struggle to make friends in your new country, because now it's a different culture, it's a different system, and people are different, right? So living abroad, so that's one benefit about living abroad, is that you get to start a new chapter. You get to rewrite your own story, right? You get to be whatever it is that you want, right? As long as it's not hurting anybody, right? So try to recreate your life abroad, and try not to covet other people's successes and achievements back home, right? Another reality about living abroad is having to adjust to a new culture, new weather, new food, new language, political system, healthcare system, education system, just everything in general, right? That sometimes can make somebody pack up their bags and go back to their countries, right? So if you are the kind of a person who has a very restrictive diet, so you're a vegan, there are many foods that you do not eat, not can't, you do not eat. Moving to a different country, you're gonna have to reevaluate your dietary choices, because in some countries you eat what's given to you, you eat what's on the table. There's no such thing as being a vegan, fat-free, lactose-free, all these things. You might be able to find all those foods, but sometimes it requires going out of your way. Sometimes it requires buying them online, going to a specialty store somewhere else in a different part of the city, different part of the country. And so it's very inconvenient trying to be whatever trying to be on whatever diet that you were on back home. Sometimes for somebody like me, it's impossible to find some local Nigerian ingredients, and so I have to find something that's similar that I can use as a substitute. Or sometimes I just lose interest in that food and I develop new palate for a different kind of food, right? So if you are a foodie, moving abroad can be very challenging, can be very difficult, because the things that were delicious to you, the things that gave you joy when it comes to food, now you no longer have access to those, or they're more expensive, or they're just not available. And speaking of food, adjusting to the new food in your environment, you might also have to adjust to the culture there, right? So in many Spanish speaking countries in Central and South America, right, sometimes people are expressive, right? So if you are a skinny person, they're gonna call you flaca, like, hey, skinny. If you are an overweight person, they're gonna call you gordo or gorda, which means a fat woman or a fat man, right? If you are tall, they're gonna call you alto or alta, just like, so if you are sensitive to stuff like that, you're going to have to work on your emotional intelligence here, because there, they don't take things seriously like that. So you're going to have to adjust to that new culture, right? And just see things the way those people see it, not the way that you see it. So meaning you're going to have to leave your lenses back home. So let's say you're coming from the US, you're going to have to leave your US lenses back home and pick up a Mexican lens and start wearing it, so that you can see things the way Mexicans do and not the way you as an American will, because otherwise you're just going to be frustrated at every tiny thing. Now, also speaking about culture, right? So let's say coming from the US, coming from Canada, people are honest, trustworthy, they're reliable. You give them a contract, they get it done, stuff like that. In a different country, let's say here in Mexico, that's different, right? So that is definitely different. So as a 30-plus-year-old, probably, you're going to have more responsibility. You're going to have, a few more things that you would like to get done, let's say on your house or just anything else. And sometimes it can be quite frustrating, right? So just know that this is a different country. It's a different system, and it's very much different. The same way that when Mexicans move to the US, they have to follow so many laws or else they get into trouble. That's the same way that when you come from the US to Mexico, it's going to be just completely different, right? Where in your country, people might follow laws. In Mexico, it's like only 20% of the population actually follow the rules, right? So it's a different environment. Now, moving abroad in your 30s, right? I'm assuming you're going to move with a remote job, right? Or your company is moving you down here to Mexico, for example. Because getting a job in your 30s in a new country, that's going to be very challenging. So I've heard of people who, when they moved down, they had trouble finding a job, because the thing is, the jobs in Mexico, they pay in pesos. So when you convert that into USD or euros or what have you, the money is not great. It's very low. And so it's not going to be enough for you to live in Mexico and for you to pay your bills in the US, right? So you want to make sure that you get a remote job, and try not to find a job, because Mexicans will, first of all, hire their own people who went to school in Mexico. They speak the language, they know how the system works before they give you the job. So many foreigners will work as an English teacher. Some will actually work in the restaurant industry, working by tips. Some of them will set up their own businesses, so they have expat services whereby they help you find a home, they help you get settled. They might offer consultation on life abroad. People sometimes will, set up their own businesses abroad, right? If they can't get anything online, or, they weren't fortunate to be an expatriate in Mexico, right? So moving abroad in your 30s, you want to make sure that you already have a job before and you're able to work remotely, or that you're able to get a remote job, right? Because getting a job in your 30s in any country, it could be a little bit challenging, especially in a new country. All right, and finally, so that this video doesn't get long, what I want to touch upon is moving abroad in your 30s when it comes to recreating a new relationship. So I've already talked about friendship, and the next thing will be a romantic relationship, that is dating, right? So dating can be challenging, doesn't matter what age group, it doesn't matter what country you're in. But now living in a new country with a new culture, now having to date in those countries. As a female, one thing that I've noticed traveling and living abroad is that females usually have more challenges, I would say, when it comes to dating abroad. Men, this doesn't even apply to them. It's like, what? Yeah, so that's one thing that I've noticed, because I usually notice that my female friends are usually single for the most part, whereby the male friends that I know, they are always in some sort of a relationship, long-term, short-term, what have you, right? So dating abroad in your 30s, that could be something challenging, right? You could use the dating apps. You could try to just go out, network and socialize with people, and also try to change your dating preferences, because like I did mention about adjusting to the new culture, adjusting to the new environment, to the food. Sometimes what you're looking for is not available, so you have to change, whatever meal that you're used to. So you used to be a vegetarian. Here in Mexico is very hard, very impossible, and now you eat meat, right? So that applies to dating as well. So let's say you were attracted to a particular physique, a particular profile of men. When you move down to Mexico, you're just gonna have to change those preferences that you are normally attracted to here, so that you can find what you're looking for in person. But if you're okay with dating long distance, then sure, you can always maybe go back home, find somebody for yourself, or maybe you reconnect with somebody from your past or from your network, right? But yeah, dating abroad, that's one thing that many people who live abroad, that's what they don't actually talk about. They only talk about, hey, I'm living here and I'm saving this much money. I'm living like a king or like a queen here. Like, people only talk about those highlights, but they don't actually talk about the challenges that is involved with moving abroad in your 30s as like a full grown adult. Because like, can you imagine, like, your friends back home whom you went to school with, they seem established, meaning that they have the good job, the home, the car, the family and such, and you are moving down as a single person. Maybe when you left, you sold everything off. You sold your house, car, you probably left whatever relationship that you were in. Let's hope you didn't have any kids, and now you're moving to start all over. So sometimes you might feel like, hey, did I make a mistake? Am I regretting my choices because this person now is now so far ahead of me, and here I am just working one remote job that pays me a fraction of what my friends are making, or a fraction of what I'm making. So to sum this video up, right, you have to know the reason or the reasons why you decided to leave everything, move to a foreign country where you know nobody. For the most part, many of us, we don't even know anybody, right? We only did some research online and then we decided to move, right? You left everything and everybody that you knew, and then you moved to a new country, a foreign country, to start from scratch, to start all over. Sometimes it takes focus, right? So you have to focus, right? And not worry about what somebody else is doing, right? Because you are writing your own story the same way that they are writing their own story, right? They have their own history. You're going to have your own history, right? So just be focused. Do not be carried away about what somebody else is doing, what somebody else is achieving, that you aren't doing, that you aren't achieving, right? Just know that everybody has their own race to run and everybody has their own story to tell, right? But if you feel like, okay, well, I'm actually missing out in life, falling behind, I'm not doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing, this whole living abroad thing, it's not working out for me, I'm having some challenges here, hey, you know what, you can always move back home, right? You can always move back home, because so many people actually in Merida, they go back to the US, they leave Merida because it's too hot or something like that, or they couldn't make friends, one reason or the other, or they couldn't find, they didn't agree with the food, like their system didn't agree with the food, just one reason over the other, they move back, say, to the US, and then reality sets in, and now they are reminded about all of the reasons why they left the US in the first place. And then what happens is that they pack up their bags again and they move back. So sometimes they move back to Merida, or they just move somewhere else, move to a different part of Mexico, or just move to a different country, right? So if you feel like, oh my gosh, did I make a mistake? Oh my gosh, what did I do? You can always go back home. You can always go back home. And then, hey, after going back home, you see all the reasons why you decided to leave. Hey, you can always pack your bags and go back, because hey, you're still in your 30s, I'm hoping, and you still have your life ahead of you, right? So like I said, I moved abroad 2 times, so in my 20s and then also in my 30s as well. So I have experiences from both ends, right? Because I thought I went back in my 20s. I thought I was going to go and settle down, and that didn't happen for me. And then I thought, hey, let's get back out there and let's go out and explore this world that is too huge, too big, just to to settle in one place, right? All right. So if anything that I said here resonated with you, please do comment about it in the comment section. If you have any question for me, again, leave it in the comment section. If you like this video, let me know by actually liking the video. And also, I would like to invite you to subscribe to the channel for more videos and more updates. All right, so I will see you in the next video. Take care. Ciao.